As I promised, this is the last Touhou theory for this year, and what a better way to conclude the year than with more smaller theories that were too simple or vague to have their own episode. So, like the last year, I've gathered all the theory ideas that were left out and formed this video where I'll talk about each topic separately. So, raise your Christmas spirit, well, late Christmas spirit, and let us begin. We've talked about Oni a few times before, mostly when we've talked about Cousin, but now we can abandon Cousin for a change and talk about one other character that may or may not be Oni. Of course, I'm talking about Kongara. Kongara being an Oni has been debated for quite a long time already, but now I think I've found some more proof to back up Kongara being an Oni. Notice how I'm avoiding calling Kongara he or she. Well, that's because I still think Kongara is a male character, but to please everyone I'm just gonna call Kongara she, as she is usually depicted. But back to her being an Oni. In Touhou Visionary Fairies in Shrine, Chapter 5, Reim takes a trip to Higen, where she talks to Eiki. They talk about whether Hekatia is the one behind Clown Piece being in Gensokyo. The discussion drifts into denizens of the Hell, precisely the one in which Hekatia is occupied. Eiki says that the Hell is mostly occupied by Oni, and just to be clear, we're not talking about the former capital here, if someone was confused. But let me read what Eiki has to say about the Oni who are occupied in Hekatia's Hell. Quote, "Generally speaking, Hell is a place where Oni punish the spirits of the dead, so if you wanted something done, you'd almost always use one of those Oni." Notice how she said, use one of those. She is saying it in a way that makes you believe that the Oni are like the employees of that place who just do whatever they're told, and go where their masters want them to. And just a little side note, the Oni shown in the picture has only one horn. So it seems that Oni having only one horn isn't that uncommon. And now, where is Kongara occupied? In Hell. And what is her motive? She has none. Or at least we don't know what it is. So, could it be that Kongara is just one of those Oni who are occupied in Hekatia's Hell and just wrecked the Hakurei Shrine because someone told her to? It could be so, given that Eiki says that there are more leaders for the Hell than just Hekatia, but Hekatia is not interested in being evil, so some other leader of the Oni may have told Kongara to just go out there and piss off the Hakurei Shrine Maiden. But this also would mean that Kongara is definitely not one of the 4 divas of the mountain. But the only question left for us is now, who would command Kongara to do something like that? I wonder if... But things like that will be left for you to decide, because we have to move on to our next topic. That being Luna Child, and her occupation as a moonlight fairy. As many of you might have known, Yukari met Luna Child in Touhou Sangetsusei, and the two had a conversation. In this conversation, Yukari tells Luna that the light of the moon holds more power to it than sunlight, which is why Luna is treated so well by the other light sources, probably meaning the other fairies. Yukari also says that Luna is the most Yukai-like of all fairies, but this brings us to what Yukari has said about Yukai and how they have been formed. According to Yukari, it was the dim light of the moon that gave birth to all Yukai, by making humans to fear and create legends about them. While Kaguya says that it was Lunarians who created Yukai to, quote, regulate Earth's filth. We don't know whose description of the event is more accurate, but one thing is for sure, Moon had its role in the creation of the Yukai. But that brings us back to Luna. If Moonlight's power is so great, then wouldn't it make sense for Luna to be the strongest fairy out there? I mean, if all the Moonlight actually isn't just for nothing. Currently, the strongest fairy out there is Clown Piece, and she's only so powerful because Junko's ability to purify made her into a pure life energy. After Clownpiece, the strongest fairy is Giorno, who is just as powerful as she is, and that's all there is to it. But that makes you wonder, what would be Luna's true extent of power if purified like Clownpiece? Would she in fact be the strongest fairy, or would it turn out that her powers can grow over time like Yukai's powers do? Because for all we know, fairies' powers are static, meaning that they don't gain more power through aging. It's things like these that I like the most, when Zun just gives you something vague and leaves it at that. Now then, the third topic is somewhat special because it is actually fairly common in the fandom already, and it is the first theory actually focusing on one of the characters from Touhou 16. The theory I'm talking about is really simple. Is Narumi made by Alice or not? Because this has been a topic for as long as Narumi's original form has been known. You see, before becoming a magician, she was a simple Jizo statue. But the most fascinating thing is that in Imperishable Night, Marisa says to Reimu that the hats put onto the statues was Alice's doing. And the statues were confirmed to be Jizo statues. Quote, "Okay, fine, I give up. You're right. The endless night, that broken, warped moon, hiding the human village, and putting hats onto the stone statues, all of it was Alice's fault." People have come to the conclusion that this is a reference to Japanese folklore, where a man was going for New Year's shopping but ended up buying 5 straw hats out of pity from a man he thought was crazy for selling clothes out of season. The man then saw 6 Jizo statues and decided to put the hats onto them out of pity again, and gave the 6th one his own hat. Later he was visited by the Jizo, who rewarded him for his generosity. And strangely enough, this happens to be the same story to which Narumi's character is based on. People have started to theorize that maybe Narumi is Alice's intentional or unintentional creation. And even I gotta admit that the connection seems somewhat suspicious. It would be cool for there to be an actual connection between Narumi and Alice. And while we are talking about Narumi, I thought it would be good to know that she is the only character who has confirmed ability to permanently kill a fairy with her life-controlling ability. That is, if we exclude Flandre's destruction ability, because I'm still not certain how it actually functions. But now it is time for us to move to our last stop of a theory. The fourth theory focuses on the Scarlets, the both of them. You see, the world of Touhou has yokai and other folklore creatures in it. There are many species of yokai like Tengu, Oni, and both have subspecies like Crow and Wolf Tengu, and for an example, Ushi Oni. But when we talk about Scarlet Sisters, it has always been said that those two are just vampires, nothing more. But after finding some interesting information about one certain type of vampires, I can pretty safely say that even the Scarlet Sisters fall into one certain subspecies of vampires. In Jewish folklore, there are these certain types of vampires that are called estries. These vampires are essentially female. They prefer feeding on babies and young children, but can feed on any living human available. They can shapeshift into various animals, their form is human-like, and are resistant to holy places. The connections are obvious, but Scarlet Sisters in Touhou canon seem to have few perks the base estries don't have, like being resistant to everything holy and being able to fly even when their hair is tied. Yes, according to the original folklore, estries cannot fly if their hair is tied. But, well, we've seen Flandre being able to fly, but that leaves one question. If Scarlets indeed are estries, then are they just immune to this not being able to fly when their hair is tied thing, or are they just powerful enough to overcome this? Because I've always thought that Flandre's side ponytail is quite a unique little detail to her character. But if she indeed is an estrie, then that hairstyle gets a whole new meaning. For some reason someone really doesn't want to let Flandre fly. First wings, and now her hair. Makes you wonder. But now, just before I end this episode, I'd like to point out that the character profiles for every confirmed character of Touhou and Tanami of Common Flowers have been released. There are only 2 characters that haven't been announced yet, but the interesting part I happened to read comes from the Koishi's profile. It directly states that Koishi closing her third eye wasn't intentional, which is a fascinating little detail, and I have to admit that if this has been stated somewhere else before, it has slipped past my eyes. But if this is new information, then I can just hope that Koishi's background story would be expanded. Dear Zun, please make it happen. But with this, I'll conclude this episode and this year. The year has been really theory-rich, and I can be pleased with the progress we've made. But now I have to let you in on something that you've never heard from me before. I've run out of theory ideas. And before you start to panic, no, this doesn't mean it is the end of the series. I've just reached a point when I have used all my ideas and haven't come up with new ones fast enough. So don't worry. As soon as I or you come up with a theory idea, I'll make a new video about it. And yes, I'm still trying to tackle the Yoga and Renko mystery. Are they the same person or not? And if not, what kind of importance they have for the story. But that topic will be discussed again in the next year, because now it is time for me to have my Christmas vacation. So once again, please keep in mind that the theories said on the video are, like always, just theories. And if you have any theory ideas yourself, please share them into the comments. But for now, I have to bid you a farewell. My name is Touhou. It has been a wonderful year, and I'm hoping for the next year to be even better. So we'll see each other again in 2018.